Podcasting Jesus. And here's the main idea behind our new series. We want to equip everyone that's coming to the View Church to be able to share their faith over a cup of coffee, at a networking group, wherever it is that you do life with people in your community. We want you to be prepared to help lead someone else across the line of faith into the kingdom of heaven. Now, can you imagine a church committed to doing this? This is the primary purpose of the View Church, is to make fully devoted followers. And so we're going to begin over the next several weeks just to begin to, one, motivate you that this is the mission that we're on. We're in this together, whether you're a guest here and you're a follower of Christ, or you're a member or a partner of the View Church. This is the mission that we're on. And we impact people. You say, well, I don't have a great impact. Well, let me ask you this. How many friends do you have on Facebook? If you have more than 20 friends on Facebook, you have influence. And there's probably friends that you have that don't know Jesus Christ. And guess what? God's put you in their life, and you're their missionary. And Facebook is your mission land. You know, that's just an example of how we can more greatly impact the South Shore community with the gospel. So we want to talk about podcasting Jesus. How many of you have an iPod? You want to raise your hand? Don't lie, you're in church. How many of you have an MP3 player? If you don't have an iPod, you couldn't get the top of the line, you got the MP3. That's me right there, right? All of our children were given MP3 players for Christmas. They got a gift from another ministry, and we were able to get them second generation MP3 players that they could upload music and download and so forth. But a podcast, how many of you know what a podcast is? Okay. How many of you know who the #1 downloaded podcast in the world is? My wife knows this. I told her this morning. How many of you seen Night at the Museum, the movie? The museum curator is a British comedian. He's the #1 downloaded podcast in the world. 500,000 people download his internet show. 500,000 people on a weekly basis. That's a huge audience, isn't it? That's influence, right? You say, man, that's really influence. Well, here's the thing. We talk about podcasting. Podcasting is when you download something that you think has significance, that it's a message of value. And you set it up through iTunes or some other way so that when you're not even home, it's downloading to your computer, so that when you plug in your MP3 or iPod, your show is waiting for you the next time you pick it up. And you can listen to it while you're traveling, or in some cases you can watch it while you're traveling. That's dangerous. I don't encourage you to do that. But this is what we mean when we say podcasting. Now, how many of you are the kind of influence in another person's life that when you talk about Jesus Christ and being a follower of Christ, people are motivated? Man, I want that podcast from your life. I want to download Jesus into my heart because I know you. And that's what we're talking about. This is where I want to go with this. This is my dream, my vision for every one of us, is that when you sit across the table at a cafe, you can take someone across the line of faith. They know you, and that's good enough. Because when you talk of Jesus, they want what you have. They want it in their heart too. And so this is what it means to podcast Jesus. We need to, here's my one big idea. I want you to see this. Here's why, here's how you're going to get others to want Jesus. Right here. You have to live. How am I going to get someone to download Jesus into their life? You invite Jesus into. How am I going to do that, Pastor Rob? How am I going to get someone? I'm not even good at talking to myself in the mirror. And you're telling me I should sit across the table at a cafe and tell someone that they need to invite Jesus into their heart. How am I going to do this? Well, here's how you begin that journey. Okay, get this point, all right? It's the first point in your insert, if you have it. It's simply this. It's simply this. You should live a life that influences. You should live a life that influences others to download Christ into their hearts. So how do I do that? How do I live a life that influences others to download Christ into their lives? How do I become that link, that key? And when I'm sitting across the coffee table at wherever it is, Starbucks, Panera Bread, wherever it is, that friend is going to want what I have when it comes to knowing Jesus. How do I do that? Well, there's three things. Three ways we're going to become people of influence that will help people want to download. The first thing is you need to be salty. Can you do this with me? Take your hand and shake it like you're shaking the salt. Come on, everybody do this. So nobody needs to feel awkward. All right, I'm shaking. This is a salt shaker, right? We like salt. How many of you love salt? I love salt. The other thing is we need to be shiny. Can you do this? Go. Put your hands up and go like this. Like you've seen the actors, they do that like, I'm a light bulb. He's shiny. You need to be shiny, right? And the last thing is you need to be well-shoed. Take a minute and just point at your shoes. Hey, look at somebody and go, hey, check out my shoes. Check them out, right? Nice. Check out your shoes. Nice shoes. You got nice shoes on today. So there's three things that we need to do to become that influence that motivates others to download and invite Christ into their hearts.